Hey everybody, I'm Haley Gray. I'm the founder in the Women's Entrepreneur Network, and I have some amazing guests with me tonight. I've got Velma Gallant and my friend Victoria Bentley with me as well. We're hanging around and we're going to talk about self-care and healthcare because y'all probably may have noticed the little elephant in the room. Y'all should have seen the other guy. I didn't get in a fight with anybody today, although I was left unattended for a few hours. I escaped and I went shopping. And I came in and I looked at my husband and, like, in my defense, I was left unattended. And I went to Costco by myself with no kids. So anyway,
that's a dangerous place. The $100 club.
Oh yeah,
it's shoe stores for me. If I go in those unattended, it's a problem.
Yeah. No, I'm kind of dangerous that way. But wanted to talk about one of the things that women, humans, adults do, which is putting off healthcare, putting off those cancer screenings, and waiting until later. And I didn't realize Bob Marley died at the age of 36 from melanoma.
I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either.
Young. And this stuff, these cancer screenings, your healthcare screenings, are no joke. And as entrepreneurs and business owners and women and all the things start running a million miles an hour, as my dermatologist today, who is a dad, was saying, yeah, my life is just basically controlled chaos. And I'm like, that reminds me, how many people stay up to date with their skin exams? How many people stay up to date with their breast exams? How many people stay up to date with their colonoscopies? Yeah, you're in the minority.
No, you said colonoscopy and I put my hand down.
I get the reminders and I listen to my doctor. I mean, my mom is a breast cancer survivor. I was notified on my birthday that my mom had to go in for a mastectomy. And the only reason she notified me on my birthday is because the next day she was going in. So she had to let me know. So, sometimes it takes those kinds of events to kind of thump us to say, okay, I need to do this. I need to take care of myself. I don't want to notify my son of this the way my mom had to notify me, but she always got the screenings. So that was how they found it correctly.
Well, yeah. And I had melanoma for my 40th birthday. I was diagnosed just a couple of weeks before. I had the surgery just after. And yes, I'm one of those lucky people who keloids. So I had a really horrible scar for many, many years. Y'all can kind of see it from a little teeny tiny pinprick of a spot. And this is after many rounds with laser and acupuncture and chemo meds and all the things to get rid of the scar. But yeah, just that little teeny tiny pinprick could have killed me.
Wow.
Melanoma's dangerous stuff.
Yeah, and it kills a lot of people, and it's not terribly treatable once it gets past stage 1, stage 2. I was very lucky. I got it in situ, which means that it hadn't spread the second time. The first time it was stage 1, so it had started to spread beyond the borders, and it was literally, the size of an ant, kind of a, tied up spot. So if you think that there's anything going on with your body, listen to your body and insist that your healthcare providers do their thing. Because how many of us have had, that time where we're like, yeah, something is wrong, and the healthcare provider's like, yeah, I'm sure it's nothing. Yeah, I'm sure it's nothing.
No, but because I was in that profession and I'm an assertive person, and I don't care if it ticks them off. It's like, no, I'm not okay with this. But my mother was that person, and she died, and it was so unnecessary. It was so unnecessary. So I get that.
Yeah.
And I think it's very important. And if we're talking about this, and I will say as a former oncology nurse, that when you have something serious going on or perceived serious, you might not know yet what you have, but if you have something perceived serious going on, take a trusted friend with you so that if they say something that stuns you, your friend is still taking notes. And you'll say, yeah, he said cancer, but he said 99% chance you don't have it, or, it's 99% curable, or, you know what I mean? For
Yeah.
those important appointments, you need to take somebody along. And I'm the person who does that in my family. I go to those appointments and I get the call saying, you understand this language and I don't, will you go with me? And so that's what I'm doing on Friday morning, taking my stepmother to the surgeon. So,
Yeah. And that's my role too in my family, which is kind of not probably a surprise to most people who know me. But yeah, but the self-care, part of self-care is making sure you get your health care.
Yes.
And, the diet, the nutrition, the exercise, but also doing your screenings and your blood pressure checks and all the things. My husband had crazy high blood pressure there for a bit.
And he's a skinny guy,
He is
so,
a very, very skinny guy. And
so
so you
obviously it's
cannot look
genetic.
at somebody. Yeah. And I mean, people would look at me when I was at my heaviest at over 400 pounds and be like, oh, I'm sure part of your problem is that, you're diabetic or whatever. And I'm like, no, I wasn't diabetic. No, I didn't have high blood pressure. No, I didn't have all those issues.
Isn't it interesting how people feel they can weigh in? that they feel that they can be your doctor, or they can judge you, oh, well, gee, Haley, you were over 400 pounds, therefore you must have this, this, and this, and this.
And you'd be wrong. And you cannot look at somebody and tell that they've got high cholesterol, low cholesterol, fatty liver. You could be thin, you could be heavy, you could be, diabetic and be, a size 6 soaking wet. And you gotta do the screenings. Do what?
That ship has failed.
I feel you on that too. But it's just, to me, it's important, mental health care, see a therapist if you need it. Get medication if you need it.
That's another one that a lot of people struggle with. There's still a lot of stigma about that, or seen as weakness, or why do I need to take a pill, or why should I feel a need to do that? And I think, well, because there's certain times in your life that things are more than you can handle. And if you have, a neurotransmitter problem, just like you might have a blood sugar problem, just like you might have a melanoma problem, if there's something that can help bridge the gap or get you to where you need to be, I don't understand why people fight it so, but they do. But I laugh because for people who hold pilot's licenses, all those drugs are verboten. And it's been a while since, I had a medical, because anyway, so what do? They drink instead. That's how they medicate stuff. And even certain airlines would give drink tickets to the pilots so that when they have a layover and they have to stay at the La Quinta or whatever, they've got drink tickets, when perhaps the best thing that could happen for them is a Prozac instead, or
Yeah.
So we encourage this. We encourage unhealthy behavior.
Right. Or here, go smoke a cigarette. Or, 20, 30 years ago, that would have probably been it. Here, have a drink ticket and go smoke a cigarette and you'll be fine.
Well, when I get to heaven, I want camels in every machine without filters. I'll be able to smoke there.
Gotcha.
Can't smoke.
Yeah, I don't have any desire to do it at all. But, it's just, we talk so much about self-care in that, kind of sense, like meditating and all of that. but we forget the healthcare piece so often, as that is such an important piece to self-care. I wouldn't be sitting here now had I not been, on top of my skin screenings and gone to the dermatologist and said, hey, look at this spot right here. And she's like, I'm sure it's nothing, but since you're saying it might be something, I'm going to go ahead and biopsy it.
That's scary. Because how many people turned around and said, oh, well, if you don't think it's anything, let's forget it.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of stuff out there, the mind, body, spirit part, and we focus a lot on the mind and the spirit, but we're forgetting about the body.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good point, Velma.
And reaching into and feeling and understanding our bodies super well. We're spiritual beings, but we're in this body in this lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
And, better take care of it. This meat suit isn't, like you just get a replacement.
Yeah.
You don't just get to say, oh, I don't like this physical being that I'm in, so I'm going to swap it out. We haven't quite evolved medicine to that point yet.
The engine in this one isn't working. Can we switch it out?
Right? Can I get a new transmission?
So we were going to dinner tonight, and I was going to say you turn the key, but not anymore. You press a button, and it wouldn't start, and it was making the noise that, is it the starter? Is it the alternator? Is it the flywheel? Is it the
battery?
No, it isn't the battery, because the air conditioning was working and the lights were on and, the radio went on. So it's not the battery. So anyway,
sometimes it can be the battery, even though if the battery is just a little bit low, it'll turn on the AC and the music and everything, but then it won't start the car.
It's making a funny noise.
Mm-hmm. I've seen that.
It's always something, it is. It's just always something. And I think you're very, very right that we must take care of ourselves, because who's going to? If we don't, who's going to?
No, how many people take better care of their car than they do themselves?
Isn't that true? Yeah, people wash it every week, and and
we get vacuum it, and
then they light up a cigarette, right?
Yeah.
Well, because there's no judgment or shame if you take your car to a mechanic, but there's judgment and shame if you take this vehicle to the doctor.
Well, and depending on your job, you may have to miss work to go to the doctor. So it's,
hey,
I'm missing work and I'm not getting paid to go to the doctor.
Yeah.
I have glaucoma, and I was on occasion having what's called ocular migraines, where I would see spots, and then afterwards I would be tired. I didn't get a headache. I didn't, I just would see this, it would look like spots turning on and off in a room. And the FAA said, well, that could happen while you're pilot in command, so we're taking your medical away from you. So the moral of the story is, why would anybody go to a doctor and be candid when you have those kind of results?
Yeah,
so
totally.
If the FAA is listening, go fuck yourselves. So that's where I am with that.
Tell me how you really feel.
No, totally, right?
That's how I really feel.
No, absolutely. And I mean, that's part of the point, right? Is if you reveal a diagnosis, you can be knocked out of the military, you can be...
Oh, look at the cute little thing behind you. What is that?
That is my puppy, and her name is Amethyst Alexandra. We call her Amy for short. And she is the most destructive being known to man, and also the sweetest little thing known to man.
Is she some kind of coon hound? Is she some kind of hound?
She's a coon hound. She's a treeing walker coon hound.
Okay. She's cute.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, they're adorable.
But the most destructive being known to man. Well,
we can talk offline about the sheer carnage in my house and the fact that I will be remodeling in about 3 years.
Once she grows up and doesn't do this anymore.
Mhm.
I had a dog like that once, that when you penned her in, she would do anything to get out. And I mean, penned her in like, hey, I've got a dinner party. You stay in the bedroom suite. We're not talking about a 4x6 pen. We're talking about several rooms, bathroom, hallway, bedroom, sitting room. You stay back here. Chew through a door in 10 minutes, or, oh, wait, I put a chair in front of the door so that she couldn't open the door. Yeah, well, the chair was an antique chair and it's not so valuable anymore. So anyway.
Yeah, well, JoJo has tried to chew through the door to the garage to get to me when I've left her at home. She has high anxiety, so she gets crated when we leave. But Amy decided to pull up the carpet in the living room from one of the corners, pull up the tack board, and then tried to dig to Wonderland. We've decided it's Wonderland, not Narnia. And she's done this a couple of times, and she won't leave the spot alone. And she's pulled the padding apart and tried to eat the padding too. Padding is like the most tasty of treats in her world. And the pads underneath
Amy's
area
lucky
rugs,
she has you. Amy's lucky
when they get
she has
shredded, make a very distinctive sound. And then you come flying in from the other room, trying to grab all the pieces and parts of the carpet padding before she can eat it. And you're screaming like, some kind of like banshee coming in, trying to get her to stop. And she's like, ooh, wait a minute, you missed one. Here, let me grab that before you can.
Yeah, then it becomes a game.
Mm-hmm.
We're playing? Yay!
We're playing a game of eat the carpet padding and see if mom screams a little louder.
Oh dear. What would we do without them now? They're our family.
Apparently, she also likes the stuffing on the antique couch because it's wool.
Yep. So how's your mental health?
My mental health is just fine. I'm just laughing.
There you go. It's either
I'm
that
just
or get
laughing
drunk.
hysterically. It's just laugh or cry. Although I'm going to have to figure out how to patch one of those cushions until I can get the whole thing reupholstered. But like I said, nothing's getting reupholstered until she's a bit older and she stops.
Till she stops. Little Marley gets a hold of herself.
Mm-hmm. And this is part of having puppies. It is making my husband inordinately happy. So what else can I say other than it makes him extremely happy? She amuses us greatly. But yes, that's a coonhound. That's a treeing walker coonhound right there for you. She's got the bark. She's got the mannerisms. She likes to tree cats. The story. They don't appreciate her very much.
Well, what would we be without our pets?
Right?
Traveling.
That's part of self-care. Yeah, traveling. It's interesting. We used to travel a lot more. And pre-COVID, when travel was a little bit easier, and pre my daughter's TBI, but travel got really hella difficult with her bopping in and out of the hospital. And then COVID, and then now with all the flight cancellations, I'm like, I'd have to really want to go somewhere before I'd be willing to fly somewhere right now. I'd have to really, really want it.
Well, I'm hoping for some really easy travel because I get to travel to your guys' neck of the wood. Well, to the U.S. It's your guys' neck of the wood at the end of the month. I'm heading Phoenix and Albuquerque.
Oh, cool.
That's a lovely place.
Yep, got friends in both places. Got a conference to go to in Albuquerque. I wish I could have stayed a little longer because I'm leaving just before their balloon festival.
I've been out there for that.
Have you?
That sounds amazing.
Right? That's on my bucket list. Is I do want to do a hot air balloon ride. My mom got to do it. I want to do it. I really want to do it.
Why would anyone want to go into when you could be in an airplane, why would you want to get in a wicker frickin' basket? I don't get it.
Well, I always have wondered why people will jump out of perfectly good airplanes.
Perfectly good airplanes. You got that right? Right.
I would do that if I was strapped to someone who knew what they were doing. I would do that. We've got a
My younger daughter would love to do it in a heartbeat.
We've got a thing. It's I Fly here in Calgary, and so you get the experience of the free fall without actually jumping out of a perfectly good airplane.
Yeah, the indoor skydiving place.
Yeah.
We have one of those in Fayetteville, which is about an hour and a half from here, and my kids have all gone and done it. And my daughter, being the crazy nutso gymnast that she is, figured out how to do all the crazy acrobatics in it pretty quickly.
Awesome.
See, you all live in real cities. I live in Podunk. There's an ice cream store nearby, like 5 miles.
And you have an amazing Italian restaurant. This is Jinx.
Hi, Jinx.
Now you guys are starting to see why I have the cat food behind me.
Yeah, that the dog had to eat. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. She heard the cat food hit the bowl, put a couple of little pieces in there, and then she decided to.
And she just had to have some. I'm glad you brought up the subject of healthcare because as women, we often take care of everybody else, and we aren't taking care of ourselves. Or, for women who are 40, they've spent their whole lives taking care of somebody's sniffles, somebody's sports injury, they forget what it's like to take care of themselves, and that's very hard. Or they feel that it's their job is to take care of other people, not to be taken care of. And you have to say to these women, but if you don't take care of yourself, who's going to take care of them? So, that's often the way you get through to people.
Well, and the reality is, if you're a business owner, like so many people in Women's Entrepreneur Network are, you're not just balancing the needs of your family, but you're also balancing the needs of your business and the need to make an income. And healthcare and self-care can take this far distant back seat. And I see it all the time. People are like, oh, I'm trying to build my business while I'm working my daytime job. And I am burning myself into the ground doing that because I'm working 40 to 50 hours in my day job. And then, there's 168 hours a week. So I'm going to go spend another 20, 30, 40 hours a week building my business. And then they forget that they have to sleep. They have to take care of themselves. They have to eat. They need time off because your brain burns out and you go into adrenal fatigue and then adrenal failure. And I see it all the time. Or somebody is maybe working in a full-time job and full-time business, and I do it full-time. And it can be really tempting to allow clients to call me at all hours of the day and night, or to schedule appointments whenever, however somebody feels like doing it, right? Because I'm desperate to make that sale. And like one of the things I used to do was I would open my calendar up for people to book calls with me, every day of the week, and 9 o'clock in the morning until whatever time in the afternoon or evening. And then I would get the work done at night, and I found that I was burning the candle at both ends. And lo and behold, I was frizzled and frazzled and exhausted.
And then all of a sudden you can't do the work, and then you don't have the income coming in.
Exactly. And there's a point where you're not making enough money to pay somebody else to do the work, so you're doing the work. And that can be really, really challenging. So learning to set boundaries and learning to schedule time during the week to do the work, to me, was important. Like, oh, I need to literally schedule 2 days that I do admin tasks per week. And unless you're an established client, you're not booking a call with me those days.
That makes a lot of sense. And what I'm hearing is it's not just boundaries with your clients, it's actually boundaries with yourself.
Right.
Absolutely. And scheduling time to go to the gym, and scheduling time to go to the doctor, and scheduling time to do stuff, right? For me,
And I
mean, it's important.
I think it brings up the importance of scheduling everything. And if you don't put time on your calendar for these things, it won't get done. Just like you put time down to see a client or you put time to go to the dentist's office. If you don't start scheduling time to address these issues, it won't get done.
I put certain routines in place so that I can be my freewheeling self at other times. If I don't do that, then I run out of time.
I schedule time to be my freewheeling self in my schedule. So, for instance, I book time every day to have lunch. I book time twice a week to go to the gym. And I book time every evening to take the dogs to the dog park or walk or cook dinner or whatever. But I book about 3 hours every evening for you can't touch this. And I'm sorry if you have a summit or whatever networking meeting during that time, chances are I'm not coming because I'm picking and choosing how I'm spending that time. It's my time.
Yeah.
And that's imperative for mental health. It's absolutely imperative. Otherwise, you'll work all the time.
So exhausted.
And I have a friend who works all the time and is so exhausted he can't see straight. And you know,
and I used to do all the day networking meetings and the night networking meetings, and I would network and network and network, and then I would schedule one-to-ones. And now with Zooms, I can do my one-to-ones with people on Zoom, but I used to have to literally go meet people for every single meeting. Now, I mean, if I have a local client who prefers to meet in person, obviously I'll go sit with them. And it is kind of nice to leave the office every once in a while, but I'm not limiting myself to 2 or maybe 3 calls a day because I have to drive all over the freaking triangle. I live in Raleigh-Durham area of North Carolina, and it's about a 2 million population here. And it's like an hour and a half from one side to the other. So I live kind of central to the whole thing. So it can take me an hour to an hour and a half to get all the way to the far north areas. You know, and then it's an hour to an hour and a half back, depending on traffic. And I'm just, you know, not going to be doing as much of that. And, you know, I was really happy because I realized how much money I was saving on gas and how much time I was saving. And it's like, oh, no. Yeah. But setting those boundaries was important.
I agree with you. I know for myself, there've been, I've had FOMO since I was like a baby. And it has been, I've done a lot of personal work on myself around that because it's a lot of times for me, it was the FOMO that was having me burn the candle at both ends and do too much and not take care of this and not take care of that because I was going to miss out on the other thing. And I don't know about anybody else, but FOMO was one of my killers.
And that is what?
Yeah, fear of missing out, right?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, fear of missing out. Like, and I'm afraid I'm not going to be able to pay my bills, so I'm going to go and network here so I can hopefully get another client. I'm desperate to do it. And y'all, that's one of the things I tell people all the time who are my clients is if you're that desperate, you might want to have a side hustle that you are working, whether it's driving for Uber, don't leave your day job, have another way of generating income, because if you're that terrified of not being able to pay the bills and you're that terrified of missing out, you know, at least in business, you know, it can be terrifying. Like, oh my gosh, I'm not going to be able to keep my lights on.
Mm-hmm. Well, especially now, people are really up against it. The money situation, the inflation situation, the cost of energy, and the cost of food. I mean, we're upwards of 20% increase, and housing is even more than that. So for the people who are renting, I mean, it's people are in a terrible bind, and so all these stresses are going to be even more.
And I was talking to my hairdresser yesterday, and you know, she's spending like $1,300 a month on a 1-bedroom apartment. And I'm talking to lots of people who are spending an extra $300, $400, $500 a month, and suddenly their rent is going up another $300 or $400. And, that kind of stress when you're in a job can be really, really stressful. I mean, it can also be very stressful when you're owning your own business. However, one of the things you can do when you own your business is you can work your way out of it. A lot of times you can decide to make more money, but you got to be careful with that. I'm going to add an extra 10,000 this month. Well, yeah, you might be able to do it once, but is that repeatable? Do you have processes in place for that? Are you taking care of yourself to make that repeatable? Or are you going to make that extra $10,000 and then
and then need to sleep for a month after that?
Yeah.
So isn't it really, if we would be honest about it, it's about balance. It's about self-care. We're physical, we are emotional, we're spiritual, and we're intellectual beings. And if we don't take care of each one of those areas of our lives, then things become chaotic. And I used to teach, it was a volunteer thing. It was through church, a group called Divorce Care. I was one of the facilitators, and physical, emotional, spiritual, and the four. Now I've lost track of which ones I've said. And we were talking about when you are getting a divorce, the emotional component goes up so much. And sometimes you forget to eat because you're so distraught, and the physical part gets neglected. Or when you're in a crisis, like someone dies, the spiritual part of your life becomes heavier, and you forget the physical part of your life. There's so many things to keep your mind on, and if we don't keep it in balance, I think balance is the answer to most of this. Is that got to go to the dentist, you got to get your screenings done so that you don't have melanoma come up and get you.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's the spiritual, it's the the mental health, it's the physical health, it's all of the things have to happen,
right?
And the financial things have to happen. And it's almost like, you've got all these plates spinning in the air. Don't drop them.
Well, and I think too, when we let one of them go, it is like, it's like the legs on the table, right? You have those four legs on the table, but if you let the physical one go, that's a leg out from underneath us. Exactly. And so you don't want to do that. You do want to take care of your physical health, because if you don't, your table's out of balance and the rest of them is going to fall anyways.
Right.
Absolutely. Right. Absolutely. So,
well, you are just the wise ladies. You are just
I'm just feeling like, y'all don't be me. Don't keep having bits and pieces hacked off. Get your skin checks early enough. And then, well, maybe you do get bits and pieces hacked off, but it's way better than the alternative. Yep.
I'm grateful for you both.
Grateful for you too, y'all. Thanks for joining us tonight. We will talk soon. Thank you, Velma. Thank you, Victoria. I appreciate y'all. Bye, everybody.
Bye.